thank you very much. It is a pleasure to be having a conversation with you. And to start off with, I will ask you, when no one else in the market is selling in Noida especially, how come ATS manages to sell so many units?
No, I don't believe you. People are selling and we are also selling.
Yeah.
Fact of the matter is that there is a demand and Noida is a very favored destination for affordable housing.
Yeah.
And we only have an advantage of having given a lot of delivery which has been well taken by the market, and we are known to handhold our customers for at least a decade. So that's why we have a slight advantage over the rest of our colleagues, and we are selling reasonably well. So that puts things in perspective.
And you do believe that the markets really, the amount of sales that are happening in the market have significantly come down?
No, Amit, it's very relative. So, for the last year and a half, I'll talk about post May 14. So it's like a yo-yo, So after 14 there was a spurt in sales, then mid 14, towards the end of 14 there was slack. 15 again, beginning 15 was okay. Again there was a slack in the middle, and towards the end again it went up. So it's like a yo-yo. It goes with the emotion and mood of the buyer. Considering that there were question marks on the economy in the past, whether there will be change, whether achhe din will come or not, and now most of the buyers have put that behind them, because the insecurity of losing a job is no longer there, predominantly there. So once a job is a secure thing in one's hand, paying an EMI doesn't become a challenge.
Right.
And so suddenly people start taking that decision. Now, fact of the matter is that there is a documented shortage of housing in this country.
Okay.
So how can you go wrong? I always ask the media this. How can you keep saying that there's an oversupply? On one hand, you guys say there's a shortage. On the other hand, you say there's an oversupply. Now, shortage also you say, no, it's in the EWS LIG category. So I am asking you that suppose there's 2 crore houses required, out of which 90% is in EWS LIG category, 10% is in the middle income and higher income group. So 10% of 2 crores is 20 lakh units. So that means there's a standing demand of 20 lakh units. So that 20 lakh units, we as a group don't deliver more than 5,000 units a year, 5,000, maybe 6,000 units. So there's a huge scope. It's only there were two issues. One was a lack of confidence in the heart of the home buyer. He felt that probably the economy won't go where it's been projected to go. And two, there was a lack of confidence in the developers, because there have been bad stories in the past, and there has been a confidence shake-up for the buyers. So that is where it was coming from, but things are getting better as we go along for everybody.
But the fact of the matter is there are brands like yours which are doing significantly better than others which are not there. For example, your property on the expressway commands double the price of the property next door. So what do you attribute that to? Is it a brand? Is there faith in the brand?
Faith. It's faith in the brand. That if you put your money on this brand, A, they will deliver on time.
Yeah.
B, the product will be worth the money spent. So therefore, one doesn't hesitate in paying a little extra for these two things. Hand-holding a property for a real estate developer, and talking about residential, for at least 5 years is necessary. Because you made that thing, it's your baby. So if something doesn't work, nobody knows it better than you.
Correct.
So most developers choose not to do that. We choose to do that.
Right. So is it fair to say, to really gauge how good a developer is, it is important to see what the resale value once the apartment is settled?
Absolutely. And not only that, also the occupancy.
Correct.
Occupancy will drive the resale value. If there's a high occupancy, your resale values will be high.
Correct.
So that is the correct barometer to judge, whether the project has done well. I won't put it on the developer. There are various things. There's location, there's the product itself, the design. So I would say whether the project has done well or not, that is the best way to gauge it.
Right. And what are the 3 things that people who come to look for an ATS apartment, what are the 3 things you believe that they look for?
Price with us,
Yeah.
discount, price, discount, that's it.
So when it all started, and I've heard so many stories, I live in one of your societies, and I've heard stories from my landlord and others who say that you would actually come and take rounds of the society and make sure that everything is in order.
I still do that.
And they would say, Getamber, I need some help, can you help me out? And you would get the plumber in and get it fixed. Is that true?
It's true. You see, I somehow, as a person, I feel a huge sense of responsibility when I give somebody a home.
Correct.
So I feel if the person or the family living in that house is not happy, or or dissatisfied for some small reason, when we've done our job with honesty and integrity, why should anybody doubt our effort? So if a small, effort from my side can change the way that person thinks about our group,
Right.
I won't do it. And it's not a marketing pitch, it's just that that's the way I am.
Right.
Yeah.
It's always felt that real estate is easy money. Is that so? Because you've taken a lot of time to build a reputation.
Yeah. So it's always that the grass on the other side of the hill is greener and is juicier.
Right.
So it is with real estate. Real estate is a high risk, high capital game.
Right.
And yes, there are. It's a decent profession. There's decent money to be made if you do a decent job.
Right.
There are lots of decents over there. So that goes for any business, I would say. If the cutting edges, the differentiator between you and competition in any business is the way you do your business. It's not how differently you do it. It's like somebody said, you just think differently and you approach the same problem with a different attitude, with a more positive and honest attitude, and you do better than your contemporaries. So that is true for any business, is my belief. But I, as a person, am passionate about real estate. So I think, had I been doing something else, I wouldn't have done it so well. I wouldn't have got up every morning and said, "Oh wow, let's go to work."
What does your typical day look like? I know you do go to various sites, but what does a typical day look like?
So I definitely now, I won't say I'm old and I won't say I'm young. So I normally devote some time to myself in the mornings. I definitely make it a point to do some exercise and yoga and pranayam, and then I go to my sites. Because somehow or the other, I feel a developer is not a developer till he doesn't really devote 75% of his time on the construction site.
Right.
Looking at Excel sheets, looking at balance sheets, you should leave it to professionals.
Right.
Our job, our passion is, envisioning a site, envisioning a project, and then making it a reality. So unless and until we are not involved in the whole process of construction, and I'm not saying you have to actually go there every day and look at your, cost sheets at site, and you have to just see whether what you have envisioned, what you imagined for a project, is it working the way you had thought? Secondly, if you were a consumer yourself, would you like, or would your wife and family like to stay in this complex? So for me, that is very important. So on a typical day, I definitely make it a point to go back to my sites. It really charges me up. Then I come to office, and then I ask the professionals who work over here with the organization whether my attention is needed on any subject. If it is, then I step in. If it is not, then they are competent to deal with the subjects themselves. So that's about it, and I shut shop at 7:30 tops.
So you have a perfect work-life balance.
Yes, I do. I make it a point. What are you working for? End of the day, if you actually relegate your family to a poor third or fourth, then you've not been having a successful career, is what I would think.
Right.
Yeah.
But you spend a lot of time with Kradai as well.
Yes.
So what are the initiatives that Kradai has taken?
So when I took over Kradai, why I joined Kradai, about 10 years ago was because I felt that our industry, in spite of doing, there are many people who are doing fantastic work across the country. You see lovely housing societies all over. There are bad stories, but then there are good stories also. So I felt nobody is giving us our due, and we are not even given any respect, be it bureaucracy, politicians, customers, media. We were getting a bashing just about, even if you're doing things right, you were being bashed. So I felt that we should change perception of this business, and to do that, we had to actually talk about not only the work we were doing professionally, but also, the good work we were doing for our labor, like skilling, like educating their children, like medical facilities we were giving them. So I thought, why don't we just take this to a different level and dovetail it with the government's vision of a clean India, skilled India, and a strong India.
There have been quite a few unpleasant stories in the media, and the result of which was, in a way, the real estate regulation bill.
Yeah.
What's your take on the regulation bill?
Well, it's a very, very good move, and we've been asking for a regulator from Kradai's side. It's only that, our only concern was that the regulator should not become another window for corruption. It should not, so happen that we have to now go to another window and pay over there and get now you can. So we documented certain points within the regulatory bill to government,
right,
to the consumer,
right,
to the Consumer Affairs Ministry, that these things still yet need to be changed. For example, there is no answerability for the sanctioning authority. So my project is complete. I've done it on time. But when I apply for Bijli Pani Sewer connection or an OC, I have to go back again to the government or to the local urban local body. Now, if that guy, for malified intent, does not give me my connections for 2 years, I can't give possession. I cannot give occupancy to my. So the bill does not address that even today.
Correct.
So these things need to be looked at again for the benefit of consumers.
You've been a kind of a leader in a sense that you ventured now into affordable housing. You've always spoke about more investments coming to tier 2 and tier 3 areas. Now, what is the next front that you see after this? Where is the next growth in real estate?
Well, the biggest growth now is in tier 3, tier 4 towns.
Not even 2?
No. Tier 3, tier 4 towns has today a documented shortage of about 5 crore houses. But those houses are not high-rise.
Correct.
It's a different format, because the person living in a smaller town, he doesn't want to buy a flat. So, like, to name a few towns in UP, like suppose we did a project in Bulandshahr or even Bareilly, or even for that matter Bijnor, or if we look at smaller towns, maybe in Jind in Haryana, or let's look at Punjab, where let's talk about Phagwara, or let's say even Gurdaspur or Abhor. These are a few towns in the north which I know, and there will be similar towns in the central part of the country and the south. These people say that they live in a family which is a joint family kind of a system. So the patriarch says, mere do bete hain, one of them will get married, so I'll make another room on top. So when the next one gets married, I'll make another room on top. So we'll all live together.
Correct.
They believe in the concept of an expandable home. They don't want we are living in a apartment of say 1000 square feet. When my son gets married, he'll leave us and go to another apartment in some other complex. They don't want that.
Right.
So the psychology, the emotion of that buyer is different from the buyer of a tier 1 or tier 2 home buyer.
Right.
So unless and until you don't understand the psyche of that buyer, you cannot do a successful product over there. So if we have understood that, so it's a very simple thumb rule over there. Over there in tier 3, tier 4, people say the concept is Meri Zameen, Mera Asman. That means you own the plot of land and you have a scope of vertical expansion.
Right.
So that is what will sell across in these smaller towns. Now, why doesn't the private sector not go there? Because the margins are thin. So we pushed with government. So government has now come up with this ATIBA where they give a rebate and there's a mat on it if you do a 60 square meter house in such locations. So these things are evolving, Amit, and I see this as the next big thing.
Right.
It's only that we have the first mover advantage and we know how to do it over there. It's taken us 3-4 years to learn, but I think we will be very aggressive in that part of real estate in the coming decade.
Right. So you believe that is where the future is, and
Yes,
that's
yes.
where probably money should also flow.
Absolutely, and it's going to be it's going to be a high turnover, low margin game. It's
Right.
like manufacturing now.
Right.
Real estate is becoming more and more like manufacturing.
Correct.
So
Right.
if you sit and say no, I want to sell at a margin of
Correct.
100% and all, those days are gone.
Correct.
So you have to be, your mindset has to be similar to that of a manufacturing industry. And if you can do that and you look at bigger turnovers, quicker turnaround times. So in that same respect, TEDI has been lobbying with the ministry, urban development ministry, to get rid of environment clearance. So they've come up with the model building bylaws where for 1.5 lakh square meters you won't need an environment clearance. It's part of bylaw.
Correct.
So all these things the government is understanding. Fortunately, this government is very proactive and they are very practical in their approach to effective business strategy. So therefore, I think in coming times, this is where the growth is going to be.
Because it's interesting from your side. From the
Yeah.
capital side also, it's very interesting because there's a lot of competition now. Lot of foreign investment coming to India, and they will need to. You can't be doing high-end residential all the time.
Yeah, you can't just say I want Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta, Madras.
Exactly. Exactly. So do you foresee a lot of it then going into these tier?
Yes, I do see that, and the good news is, Amit, now whatever capital is coming in, foreign capital, it's long term.
Correct.
They're looking at 7 to 10 years. So that kind of capital will do very well. They get fantastic returns in these locations because it's not a hedge fund. It's actually an equity which is there. It's a long-term equity fund.
Correct.
So and most of them are sovereign funds also, which have actually deployed money through local funds. So these guys will make in the long term much more money than what a hedge fund would have made in tier 1 cities.
Correct. So there is a clear differentiation
Yes.
in the market.
Yes, there is.
But doesn't it then increase the threshold for someone new to come and get into development?
So this is the flip side to the entire story. So it does, you're right. And the fallout of that is going to be that there's going to be a cut down of supply.
Yeah.
Because not too many people will be entering.
Correct.
And the fallout of that is going to be an increase in prices of units which are already delivered but not sold in tier 1, tier 2 cities.
Right.
Because the prime land in these locations is gone. There's no more land coming up. There's no new developer coming up. There's going to be consolidation. A lot of developers are actually going to stop doing this because things are going to get difficult with compliances. And therefore, you will be sure in the next 2 to 3 years, you'll see an incremental value of real estate sale prices.
What would be your advice to someone who's entering the real estate industry new?
Start small, start honest, don't be greedy, and be patient.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Pleasure talking.
Lovely, likewise. Thank you.